50,000 fans dancing together? Jungkook breaks the stadium. No one in El Paso expected the night to unfold the way it did. Even among the endless hype surrounding BTS's Arirang World Tour, even with the long lines stretching outside the venue hours before gates opened, even with the deafening chants echoing through the Texas evening, there was still something no one could have predicted. Something that would transform a concert into a phenomenon, a performance into a shared memory that would ripple across the world. It began like any other sold-out show. Fans filled the stadium in waves, dressed in coordinated outfits, waving lightsticks that shimmered like constellations under the fading sunlight. The atmosphere was already charged, already electric, but still contained, still waiting. There's always that moment before a concert begins, when excitement sits just beneath the surface, when anticipation hums quietly before it explodes. That was where everyone was balanced right on the edge. Then the lights went out. A roar erupted instantly, loud enough to feel physical, as if the sound itself pushed through the air with force. The giant screens flickered, shadows moved, silhouettes formed. And then, one by one, the members appeared. Each entrance triggered waves of screams that rolled across the stadium like thunder. But when Jungkook stepped forward, something shifted, something intensified. It wasn't just louder. It was deeper. More urgent. More emotional. From the very beginning, his presence carried a different weight. Calm, composed, but undeniably powerful. There was a quiet confidence in the way he moved, a subtle command over the space that didn't need to be announced, it was simply felt. Every step, every glance, every breath seemed to pull the audience closer, as if an invisible thread connected him to every single person in that stadium. The performance unfolded seamlessly. Songs transitioned into one another, choreography flowed like a perfectly rehearsed storm, and the energy continued to build. Fans sang along, their voices rising to meet the music, creating a massive chorus that wrapped around the stage like a living, breathing entity. But even in the midst of all that sound, all that motion, there was a sense that something bigger was coming. And then it happened. It wasn't planned in the way people expected. There was no dramatic pause, no obvious cue. It was subtle, almost too subtle at first. Jungkook stepped forward during a transition, the music softened slightly, and he looked out across the crowd. For a brief moment, everything felt still. Then he smiled. It was a small gesture, but it carried an enormous impact. Fans screamed instantly, reacting to even the slightest change in expression. But Jungkook didn't move on. Instead, he lifted his hand slightly, gesturing toward the audience, not in a grand, commanding way, but in an inviting one. It was an invitation. And the crowd accepted it without hesitation. The beat dropped. Together. Every step he took was mirrored by thousands. Every gesture echoed across the sea of people. It was no longer about choreography or precision, it was about connection. Real, immediate, undeniable connection. The camera screen showed wide shots of the audience, and the image was almost surreal. Waves of motion rippled across the stadium, synchronized not by rehearsal, but by instinct. Fans who had never met, who came from different countries, spoke different languages, lived completely different lives, moving as one. And at the center of it all was Jungkook. There was no script for this moment. No rehearsal could have prepared for it. It was spontaneous, organic, and completely overwhelming. Even the other members paused for a moment, watching the scene unfold with visible shock and excitement. They cheered, they laughed, they joined in, but it was clear that something unique was happening. Social media would later try to capture it. Clips would go viral within minutes, hashtags would trend globally, and fans would attempt to describe what they had witnessed. But no video could fully convey the scale of it. No recording could replicate the feeling of being inside that moment. Because it wasn't just visual. It was physical. The ground seemed to vibrate under the combined movement of tens of thousands of people. The air felt charged, almost electric. The noise wasn't just loud, it was consuming. It filled every space, every corner, every breath. And yet, in the middle of all that chaos, there was clarity. A shared understanding. Everyone knew they were part of something special. Jungkook's role in it all was impossible to ignore. He didn't force the moment. He didn't control it in the traditional sense. Instead, he guided it subtly, instinctively, allowing the energy to grow naturally. That's what made it so powerful. It wasn't manufactured. It wasn't staged. It was real. As the song continued, the intensity didn't fade. If anything, it grew stronger. Fans pushed themselves further, jumping higher, shouting louder, moving with everything they had. There was no holding back. No hesitation. Just pure, unfiltered energy. And Jungkook matched it. His movements became sharper, more dynamic, his presence even more commanding. But there was also joy in it, visible, undeniable joy. He wasn't just performing. He was experiencing the moment alongside the audience. That connection, the ability to blur the line between artist and fan, is something rare. Something that can't be taught or rehearsed. And in that moment, Jungkook embodied it completely. When the song finally ended, there was no immediate stop. The crowd kept going, still dancing, still shouting, still riding the wave of adrenaline. It took several seconds for the reality of the moment to settle in. And then came the screams. Louder than before. Longer than before. More intense than anything that had come earlier in the night. Jungkook stood there, slightly breathless, looking out over the crowd. For a moment, he didn't speak. He simply took it in the sea of faces, the endless movement, the overwhelming noise. Then he laughed. It was a genuine reaction, unfiltered and real. And somehow, that made the moment even more powerful. The rest of the concert continued, filled with incredible performances, emotional moments, and unforgettable interactions. But no matter what came after, that one scene remained the centerpiece, the moment everyone kept returning to. Fans leaving the stadium later that night couldn't stop talking about it. Conversations overlapped, voices raised in excitement, disbelief, and awe. Did you see that? I've never experienced anything like it. It felt unreal. And maybe that's because it was. Moments like that don't happen often. Not at that scale. Not with that intensity. Not with that level of genuine connection. In the days that followed, the impact only grew. Videos spread across platforms, reactions poured in from around the world, and the phrase 50,000 fans dancing together became more than just a description, it became a symbol of what had happened. A symbol of unity. Of energy. Of the unique bond between Jungkook and the audience. Industry experts would later analyze it, trying to understand what made the moment so powerful. Some pointed to Jungkook's stage presence, others to his ability to read and respond to the crowd. Some talked about timing, about instinct, about experience. All of those factors played a role. But they didn't tell the whole story. Because what happened in that stadium wasn't just about skill or strategy. It was about something deeper, something harder to define. It was about trust. The kind of trust that allows an artist to step forward, make a simple gesture, and know that tens of thousands of people will respond. The kind of trust that allows fans to let go completely, to become part of something bigger than themselves. That's what made the moment unforgettable. And that's why, long after the lights went out, long after the stage was dismantled, long after the crowd dispersed into the night, the impact remained. Because somewhere in El Paso, on a night that began like any other, something extraordinary happened. 50,000 people danced together. And Jungkook didn't just perform. He broke the stadium.